He dressed like electricity looks. Velvet and feathers and hussar cavalry braid and fringed suede and military scarlet, all simultaneously, all correctly, all completely invented from almost nothing. Jimi Hendrix had no fashion education. No stylist. No budget. He shopped Carnaby Street boutiques and army surplus stores and charity shops, and assembled a look that every rock musician since has been trying to copy. This is Style Breakdown, Jimi Hendrix. Seattle, 1942. James Marshall Hendrix. His father Ul kept a scrapbook of Jimi's outfits even as a teenager because even then, the clothes were remarkable. Growing up poor in Seattle, Jimi had almost nothing to wear. But what he had, he arranged with total instinctive originality. Mismatched patterns that shouldn't work. Did colors that had no business being together. Worked perfectly. This is crucial. Jimi's style came from pure instinct, not education. Not money. Not a stylist. Pure visual intelligence. London, 1966. Chuz Chandler brings Jimi to England. And Jimi discovers Carnaby Street. I Want to Hold Your Hand boutique. I Was Lord Kitchener's valet. Granny Takes a Trip. These were the shops selling Edwardian military antiques, Victorian lace, hussar cavalry jackets, the raw material of the entire late 1960s aesthetic. Jimi walked into these shops with almost no money and walked out looking like he'd invented a new universe. London gave Jimi the vocabulary. His instinct assembled it into a language nobody else had spoken. The hussar cavalry jacket. This is the centerpiece. Hussar cavalry were the elite light cavalry of the Napoleonic era, Hungarian in origin, adopted across European armies. Their distinguishing feature, extreme ornamentation as deliberate military display. Frogging loops of braid fastened with barrel buttons. Pelisse, a second jacket worn hanging from the shoulder. Gold and silver braid in complex patterns across the chest. They were designed to be seen from distance in battle, visual intimidation as military strategy. Jimi put on a hussar jacket and understood immediately that it was designed to communicate at distance. Exactly what a stage costume needs to do. Jimi Hendrix was a black man in a predominantly white rock world in the late 1960s. His fashion choices operated in that context. While white rock musicians were wearing denim and leather, signifiers of working-class authenticity, Jimi chose maximum visual extravagance. Velvet. Feathers. Braid. Ruffles. This was a specific claiming of visual space that white rock didn't expect and wasn't prepared for. The extravagance said, I refuse to be invisible. I refuse to dress to your expectations. I am here. Fully. Completely. In velvet and gold braid and feathers. The feathers. Jimi wore feathers in his hat, on his jackets, in his hair. Feathers have a complex cultural history in America. Native American ceremonial dress uses specific feathers as sacred symbolic objects. 1960s counterculture adopted feathers broadly as anti-war, back-to-nature symbols. Jimi's feathers existed in this context, part of a broader counterculture visual vocabulary. But on Jimi, they also functioned technically. Feathers catch and hold light differently from fabric. They move differently. They create edge definition at the silhouette. On stage under lights, feathers make the figure shimmer. Electricity in physical form. The wide-brimmed hat. Jimi's hat. Often a wide-brimmed cavalier style referencing 17th-century musketeer fashion. Sometimes with a feather. Sometimes with a band. Always pulled low on the left side. The hat did three things simultaneously. It framed his face from above, directing attention down to the features and the hands. It added height, elongating a figure that was already commanding. And it gave him something to do with his head, that signature downward tilt when playing, hat brim hiding the face, building mystery, then the head rises and the hat frames everything. Hat as performance direction. Woodstock. August 18, 1969. 4 in the morning. Jimi headlining after the scheduled close. About 200,000 people still in the field. And what he wore, white fringed suede jacket. Blue headband. Simple. After years of maximum military extravagance, Woodstock Jimi is stripped back. The fringed suede was still visually extraordinary, fringe catching pre-dawn wind, white against darkness blazing under the stage lights. But it was the simplest he'd ever looked on a major stage. Sometimes the most powerful look is the one that gets out of the music's way. What did Jimi Hendrix change in fashion? He invented psychedelic rock style. Literally. The entire visual vocabulary, military antique, velvet, feathers, fringe, wide brim, was assembled by one man with instinct and army surplus stores. Every rock musician who wears anything extravagant is working in Jimi's tradition. Steven Tyler, Keith Richards, Lenny Kravitz, who explicitly cited Jimi as fashion inspiration. Prince, who cited Jimi as everything. And beyond rock, the Hussar jacket went from Jimi to Michael Jackson to Beyoncé to every fashion house on earth. One man with perfect instinct. No budget. No stylist. Just eyes. That style breakdown, Jimi Hendrix. From army surplus Seattle to Hussar cavalry London to fringed suede Woodstock. The man who dressed like electricity looks. Next episode, David Bowie's Ziggy Stardust, the single most theatrical style transformation in rock history. Subscribe. Hit the bell. Which Jimi era is your favorite? Tell me below.